Eli was a human engineer working for the Earth's exploration fleet. He was smart, quiet, and always focused on his job. He fixed machines on remote planets and space stations. One day, he was sent alone to a strange planet called Valmora. Valmora was known for being peaceful, but also very strange. There were energy storms that made it hard to stay long. Eli's task was simple: check an old station and return to orbit. He landed his small ship near the station and started the inspection, but things didn't go as planned. A sudden energy storm came without warning. The sky turned green, and lightning danced in the air. Eli ran back to his ship, but the storm knocked out the systems. He had no choice but to find shelter. He grabbed his gear and ran through the glowing forest. The trees had blue leaves and the air sparkled like dust. Every step felt like walking through a dream. Then he saw a strange light coming from a cave. The entrance glowed with soft purple light. Eli entered slowly, keeping his tool gun ready. Inside, the cave was warm and full of strange crystals. He walked deeper and found a small open area with smooth stone walls. And that's where he saw her. She looked young. Maybe like a teenager, but not human. Her skin was pale blue. Her long silver hair floated gently around her face. Her eyes glowed green and sparkled like stars. She sat near a glowing pool and looked at him without fear. Eli froze, not sure what to do. Then she spoke, her voice soft and musical. "You're human," she said. "I've never seen one before." Eli lowered his tool gun and nodded. "I didn't mean to scare you," he said. "The storm forced me in." She stood up slowly, watching him carefully. "My name is Zariel." She said, "You should not be out there alone." She walked toward him and placed her hand on a glowing crystal. The walls lit up brighter, making the whole cave shine. Eli looked around in awe. "What is this place?" he asked. "This is my learning cave," Zariel said, smiling. "I come here to listen to the crystals. They teach me things." She offered him a seat near the pool and gave him a warm root drink. Eli accepted, surprised by her kindness as they sat. She asked many questions about Earth, humans, space, and machines. Eli answered each one. Impressed by her curiosity, she laughed at his jokes, listened carefully, and even touched his arm when she was excited. But something felt strange. Eli noticed her staring at him, not just with interest, but with something deeper. Her eyes glowed stronger when she looked into his. She leaned forward and said softly, "You feel all right?" Eli blinked, confused. "Right?" My light blinked. "Right." He asked, "What do you mean?" Zariel tilted her head, her silver hair falling over one shoulder. "In my kind, when we meet someone who makes us feel safe and strong, it means a bond is forming." Eli laughed nervously. "I think you're still a bit young to say that." He replied, "Come back when you're older," he joked. But Zariel didn't laugh. She looked serious, her hands still touching the crystal. "I will," she said quietly. Then the crystal pulsed with a strong light and a wave of warm energy passed between them. Eli felt dizzy for a moment, as if the cave had shifted. Zariel pulled her hand back and stepped away, her eyes wide. "I have to go," she said quickly. "The bond—" It's too early. Before Eli could ask what she meant, she ran deeper into the cave. A flash of light followed, and she disappeared like mist. Eli stood there, stunned, holding the cup she gave him. The cave dimmed slowly, the crystals returning to their soft glow. He walked outside when the storm ended. She was gone. Back at his ship, Eli couldn't stop thinking about her. About her words, her eyes, and that strange wave of energy. He flew back to the fleet. But part of him stayed on Valmora. He didn't understand what had happened, but he knew one thing. That meeting was not just strange. It was important, and somehow, it felt like the beginning of something much bigger. Eli never forgot the cave He never forgot her name's Ariel, even though 5 full years had passed. The memory of that strange night on Valmora stayed with him like a dream he couldn't wake from. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her silver hair, her glowing green eyes, and the moment she said, "You feel right." He worked on many planets after that, repaired broken machines, fixed life support systems, and helped build starports. But no matter where he went, Valmora lived in the back of his mind. He tried to tell himself it was just a strange event, maybe caused by the energy storms or alien tech. But something inside him always whispered, no, was real. Sometimes at night, Eli had vivid dreams of glowing caves and soft voices. He'd wake up sweating, heart racing, feeling like someone was calling him from far away. His friends teased him, calling him the guy who got a crush from a space ghost, but he never told them the full truth. He didn't want to explain that she wasn't a ghost. She was real, and she had promised to come back. Meanwhile, far away on Valmora, Zariel had changed. Her species matured fast. 5 human years was a long time for them. She was no longer a young girl sitting by a crystal pool. She had grown taller, stronger, wiser, but more than anything, she had grown determined. Her people, the Velmari, were peaceful, but strict. They believed in emotional control, knowledge, and balance. But Zariel had always been different, curious about the stars and fascinated by humans. Ever since she touched the bond crystal with Eli, she felt something shift deep inside her. A connection formed not just of thought, but of soul. It was something ancient. Something even the elders didn't fully understand. Some warned her. Your feelings are dangerous, one elder told her. He is human, short-lived, wild, and emotional. But Zariel didn't care. She remembered his laugh, his kindness, the way he offered peace without knowing her. She remembered the storm, the cave, and the way his energy matched hers, so she studied. She learned about Earth and human culture. She read old human languages, watched human recordings, and trained in diplomacy. She became one of the top scholars on alien-human interaction. But inside her heart, it wasn't just for learning, it was to understand him. She trained her body too. Velmari warriors were rare, but Zariel pushed herself to become one. She mastered energy control, learned to fly spacecraft, and even created her own energy bond armor. All this to prepare for the day she would see Eli again. She didn't want to just show up. She wanted to return with purpose, not as a girl in a cave, but as someone worthy of standing beside him. One quiet evening, as she looked up at the twin moons of Valmora, she whispered to the wind, "I'm ready, back on Earth's side of the galaxy." Eli was working on a malfunctioning satellite station. The gravity was weak, the oxygen low, and he was exhausted. He floated above a broken control panel, trying to fix a faulty coolant system. Suddenly, his communicator beeped. Unregistered vessel approaching. The system said. He looked out the station window and froze. There it was, sleek, silver, and glowing faint green. The ship didn't match any known model in Earth's database. Stopped just outside the docking ring, silent and still. A small message flashed on the screen. Permission to board. Eli hesitated, heart pounding. He pressed the reply button and simply said, "Granted." The airlock hissed open, and there she was. Zariel, no longer a girl now, a confident woman. Her silver hair was longer, tied behind her back, and she wore a glowing armor that pulsed with soft light. Her eyes still glowed green, but now they held more depth, more story, more power. She stepped forward slowly, then smiled. "Hello again, Eli," she said. "I kept my promise." Eli stared, unsure if he was dreaming. Zariel tilted her head, just like she used to. "You told me to come back when I'm older," she said softly. "Well, I did." Eli let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. His voice was rough, confused, and full of emotion. "You look so different," he said. "I am," she replied. "But I'm still me." They stood in silence for a moment, the sounds of the station humming in the background. Then she reached into her armor and pulled out something. It was a tiny, glowing crystal just like the ones in the cave. "I carried this," she said, "all these years. To remember our bond." Eli looked at it, then back at her. He didn't know what this meeting would mean, but deep down, he knew his life was about to change forever. The space station above planet Varel 9 was quiet. Eli floated in the control room, checking pressure valves and coolant flow. The job was boring, just like every other repair gig he had done recently. He felt like something was missing in his life. But he didn't know what, until a strange alert blinked on his screen. Unregistered ship, approaching no known origin. Eli raised an eyebrow and looked out the viewing panel. A sleek silver ship was slowly moving toward the dock. It didn't match any Earth design, nor any known alien ally. Its surface shimmered like water, and it made no sound. The ship hovered perfectly still, waiting. Eli tapped into the docking interface and sent a basic request. "Identify yourself," he typed. A short pause followed. Then the screen flashed with one line. "I am here to see Eli Zariel." His breath caught in his throat. Zariel, he hadn't heard that name out loud in 5 years. His fingers froze over the control panel. A part of him thought it might be a prank or a glitch, but something deep in his chest told him it was real. He granted docking permission. The airlock hissed and rotated, gears clicking into place. Eli waited in the landing bay, his tool belt hanging loosely by his side. The ship opened with a soft hum, and mist poured out like fog. From the mist stepped a tall figure in glowing white armor. She walked with slow confidence, her silver hair tied back. Her green eyes locked onto his with calm focus. She looked so different, yet somehow exactly the same. Zariel had returned, but this time she wasn't a curious alien girl. She was a warrior. "Eli," she said, voice deeper but still gentle. He couldn't speak at first, his mind spinning. "You said to come back when I was older?" She smiled slightly. "I did." He finally found his voice. "You actually came back," he said, stunned. She nodded, stepping closer. "I never forgot you." She said, "You were the first one who made me feel real. The first one who saw me." Eli looked her over. Her armor glowed with soft green energy, and her skin shimmered with faint silver dust. "You've changed," he said. "So have you," she replied. "But I remember everything." They sat in the observation deck together, staring out at the stars. Eli offered her tea, the earth kind, and she accepted with curiosity. She didn't speak much at first, just watched the stars silently. Then she said, "I've trained for this moment, Eli, for years. I've learned about humans, about Earth, about your ways, but most of all, I've learned about the bond." Eli turned to face her. "The bond?" he asked. Zariel held up her hand and revealed a small crystal embedded in her glove. It pulsed with soft green light, the same color as her eyes. "It's the same kind of crystal from the cave," she said. "It bonded to me the moment we touched. It changed me." Eli leaned back in his chair, overwhelmed. "So what does that mean now?" he asked. "It means I'm connected to you," Zariel said. "Not just in memory, but through energy, thought, and even instinct." Eli rubbed his face, trying to process it all. "Why me?" he whispered. Zariel looked at him, serious now. "Because you were kind, because you didn't laugh, because you gave me time, and because I chose you." Eli stared at her in silence. No one had ever said something like that to him before. He felt a strange warmth in his chest, not fear, not confusion, just something that felt right. But something else was happening too. Ever since Zariel's ship docked, Eli had noticed strange signals bouncing around the station's sensors, faint pings from deep space, coded in a language he didn't understand. He asked the station AI to decode it, but it failed. Zariel noticed the worry on his face. What is it? She asked. Something's watching, Eli said. Tracking you maybe. She stood quickly, her hand glowing with soft energy. I feared this, she whispered. I didn't ask for permission to come. The Velmari Council will be angry. Why? Eli asked. Standing with her because they fear the bond, she said. They believe it gives too much power, too much emotion. Suddenly, alarms blared through the station. Unknown ship detected. High-speed approach, the computer warned. Eli looked at Zariel, who was already moving toward her ship. They've come for me, she said, and they won't just talk. Eli followed her without hesitation. Then we face them together, he said. Zariel paused at the ramp of her ship. You'd fight your own kind for me, she asked. They're not my kind, he replied. You are, in that moment. Something invisible passed between them again. Not just a bond of memory, but a choice. Zariel's eyes glowed brighter, and her armor lit up with a new pattern. The bond had grown stronger. The doors closed behind them. The fight had not yet begun, but one thing was clear. Zariel had returned, and this time she wasn't going anywhere. The Velmori pursuit ship vanished just as fast as it came. It didn't attack, but it circled the station once and then disappeared into the black. Eli watched the scanner screen as the blip vanished into deep space. They're not done, Zariel said quietly, standing beside him in her ship's cockpit. They're just watching, waiting. Eli looked at her, the glow from the ship's control panel lighting her face. So what now? He asked. Now, she replied. We show them we're more than a mistake in the days that followed. Zariel stayed with him on the station. She fixed systems faster than any human could. Using her strange energy field, she understood machines as if they spoke to her. And Eli began to realize she had become something far beyond what she once was. But she never acted like she was above him. She still laughed at his old jokes, asked questions about Earth, and stared in wonder at the stars outside. One day, Eli found her sitting on top of the station's observation dome, legs crossed. Staring at Saturn in the distance, he floated up beside her and sat down quietly. You've really grown up, he said. Zariel smiled. And you haven't changed much, Eli, he chuckled. I've changed. I just hide it well. There was a soft pause between them. Then Zariel said, You know, I trained for this moment. But I didn't train for how it would feel. Eli turned his head. How what would feel? To be near you again, she said, her voice softer now. It's like the bond inside me is burning. Growing, reacting to you. Eli looked away, unsure of what to say. I'm just a guy with a toolbox, he muttered. You're more than that to me. Zariel replied instantly. That night, the station had a power failure in one of the outer rings. A coolant pipe burst near the oxygen systems, and Eli rushed in to fix it. Zariel followed him, offering to help as they worked together. Steam filled the narrow tunnels. Suddenly, the pipe cracked again, releasing hot pressure toward Eli's face. He slipped and fell back, the heat coming straight at him. But Zariel moved faster than thought. Her arm extended, glowing green, and she formed a shield from her energy field. The blast hit her instead, but she didn't move. Eli opened his eyes and saw her standing above him. Her armor scorched, but her eyes calm. You okay? She asked. Yeah, he said, breathless. You saved me. I told you, she whispered. We're connected. I feel when you're in danger. After the accident, Zariel helped him back to the medbay. She sat by his side as he rested, watching him with quiet focus. Eli finally looked at her and said, So this bond thing, it's real? Zariel nodded. Very real. It's more than just emotion, she explained. It's energy. Instinct, even awareness, when you almost got hurt. My body moved before my mind could decide. Eli sat up slowly. And your people think that's dangerous? They fear what they can't control, she said. And humans. You're unpredictable. But I chose this. Eli, I chose you. Her voice trembled just a little, as if she wasn't sure how he would respond. Eli looked at her for a long moment. You could have picked someone smarter, he joked. Zariel smiled, her eyes glowing again. No one else would have told me to come back later. They both laughed. And for the first time since her return, the tension broke. It wasn't just about alien powers or ancient crystals now. It was about something real, something human. Something growing between them, but they were not alone. The station's long-range scanners picked up a message. It was a transmission from Velmora, encrypted. But pulsing with urgency, Zariel opened the message and her face darkened. They're calling me back. She said. Eli stood. Why? They say the bond is unstable. That I've crossed a sacred line. Will you go? He asked. Zariel hesitated. Then said, not without you. Eli blinked. Me? I want you to come to Velmora. She said, to face them with me, to show them the bond is not a danger, it's a gift. Eli looked out at the stars, then back at her. You trust me with that? I trust you with everything, Zariel said. He took a deep breath and nodded. Then let's go. The spark had been there 5 years ago in a glowing cave. But now it had reignited into something stronger, something that could change not just to lives, but to worlds. Zariel's ship moved quietly through deep space. Eli sat beside her in the co-pilot seat, looking out the wide viewing window. Stars passed by like silver dust, each one glowing softly in the black sky. It was peaceful, but Eli could feel the tension building. They were heading to Velmora, her homeworld, but not for a welcome party. This was a return under judgment, and he was going with her. Zariel didn't speak much during the journey. She focused on the ship's systems, monitoring signals and energy flow. But Eli noticed the way her hand sometimes trembled when she touched the controls. She was afraid, not for herself, but for him. Tell me the truth, Eli said, breaking the silence. This bond between us, what is it really? Zariel slowly turned to him, her green eyes glowing brighter in the dim light. It's not just a feeling, she said softly. It's not like human love or friendship. It's deeper. She stood and opened a small panel beside the cockpit. Inside was a crystal sphere, glowing with green-blue energy. This is the heart of my armor, she said, lifting it carefully. This is powered by the bond. Eli stared at it, confused. How can a bond between two people power a weapon? Zariel shook her head. It's not a weapon, it's a reflection. The stronger our connection, the stronger this energy becomes. She sat back down and held the crystal between them. When I touched the crystal cave with you, all those years ago, it marked me. It created a bridge between us, one that grew even while we were apart. Eli looked at the crystal and then back at her. So, you're stronger because of me. Yes, she said, but not just physical strength. My mind is clearer, my senses sharper, and my energy deeper. Eli leaned back in his seat. Trying to process it all? Is that why your people are afraid? Zariel nodded. They believe. Emotions make us weak. They fear this bond will spread and change our people. They fear becoming more like humans. He frowned. So they want to take the bond away from you. They want to erase it, she whispered. They believe. It can be broken, but they don't understand it's part of me now. Eli felt a chill. What happens if they try to break it? Zariel looked away, silent for a long time. Then, I die, she said quietly. The words hit Eli like a punch. He stood up, pacing the small cabin. That's insane, he said. They can't do that. They will try, she said, unless we convince them otherwise. Eli turned back to her, his voice serious now. Then we need to show them what this bond really is. Zariel looked at him with hope in her eyes. You're willing to fight for it? I already am, he said. I left everything behind to stand with you. As they neared Velmora, Zariel showed him the surface from orbit. The planet shimmered with soft blue oceans and green glowing forests. It looked like a painting, too. Perfect to be real. But underneath that beauty was a strict council waiting to judge them. They landed in a wide-open platform near a glowing tower. Dozens of tall Velmari figures in silver robes waited for them. Zariel wore her bond armor, the crystal pulsing with a soft hum. Eli stood beside her, wearing a simple suit, but his face was calm and firm. The council leader stepped forward, tall and sharp-eyed. "You disobeyed the law, Zariel," he said. Coldly, "You brought the human here, and you've allowed the bond to grow." "I chose the bond," Zariel replied, "and I chose him." The elder's eyes narrowed. "You do not understand what you've done. This power, this connection will destroy our balance." Eli stepped forward. "Maybe your balance needs change." Gasps rose from the crowd. "No outsider may speak." One elder shouted, "But I'm not just an outsider," Eli said, his voice steady. "I'm part of this bond, and it's made both of us stronger." Zariel raised her hand, and the energy crystal floated into the air. It pulsed with bright green light, stronger than before. The council watched in silence as the energy spread outward, covering Zariel and Eli in a soft aura. "This is not a weapon," Zariel said. "This is harmony between two minds, two hearts, and two worlds." The council did not speak, but their silence was not approval. "Take time to rest," the leader said coldly. "We will give our final decision tomorrow." That night, Zariel and Eli sat by a glowing lake near the tower. He skipped a small stone across the water. "Think they'll listen?" he asked. Zariel looked up at the stars. "I don't know," she said, "but whatever happens, I'm glad you're here." Eli smiled. "I wouldn't be anywhere else." They sat in silence, side by side. The crystal on Zariel's chest glowed softly, the bond between them stronger than ever. Tomorrow would bring judgment, but tonight they had peace. Morning arrived on Velmora with soft green light glowing across the horizon. The twin suns rose slowly, casting long shadows over the crystal towers and peaceful forests. But inside the grand hall, the air was heavy with tension. Zariel stood before the Velmari council, her bond armor pulsing faintly. Eli stood beside her, silent but strong. Today was the day they would decide her fate, and maybe his. The council hall was large and round, built from glowing white stone. 12 elders stood in a half circle, their silver robes flowing. Their faces were calm, cold, and unreadable. The lead elder stepped forward, raising his hand. "Zariel," he said, his voice echoing, "we have seen the bond, and we have seen you're human. But this connection threatens our traditions, our control." Zariel looked up, her voice steady. "This bond is not a threat, it is growth. We were always taught to fear emotion, to avoid it. But look at what I've become. I am stronger, clearer, more alive than ever." Another elder spoke. "You carry power that we cannot explain, and it comes from an outsider. He is not one of us." Eli stepped forward. "I don't want to replace your ways," he said. "I only want to be with her. And she wants the same, if that scares you. Maybe it's because deep down, you know your people have more to feel, more to live for." The room fell quiet. Then the lead elder raised his hand again. "You have forced us to act," he said. "We cannot allow the bond to spread. You must surrender." Etor face removal. Zariel's eyes narrowed. "You mean death?" The elder didn't answer, but the silence said everything. Suddenly, alarms echoed through the building. The walls shook slightly, and energy lights flashed red. A younger council guard ran in, panic on his face. "An unmarked fleet has entered orbit," he shouted. "They carry human weapons and alien signatures." Eli's heart dropped. "That's not Earth's fleet," he whispered. Zariel turned to the council. "Someone followed us. Someone. Who doesn't want peace outside?" The skies darkened as sleek black ships appeared above Velmori. They were not Velmori, not human, they were raiders. Scavengers who traveled the stars stealing tech and resources. They had likely picked up on Zariel's energy trail. Hoping to harvest her bond crystal for power, the council was frozen with fear. We must hide the city. One elder said, they cannot be allowed to touch our core. But what about the people? Zariel shouted. You'd let them suffer just to protect your towers. Zariel didn't wait for their answer. She looked at Eli, and he nodded. Let's go, he said. Let's show them what your bond can really do. They ran to her ship, launching into the sky just as the first raider blasts hit the outer shield. Velmor's defenses were weak. They had never prepared for war. But Zariel had. And now, she wasn't fighting for her own life. She was fighting for everyone. In orbit, the battle had already begun. Raider ships fired plasma bolts at Velmor's energy towers. Zariel's ship darted between them, her armor glowing bright as she moved through the controls with perfect focus. Eli manned the side cannons, his hands shaking but steady. Target left wing, she called. Eli turned and fired, blasting a raider into flames. Zariel spun the ship around, blasting another with a focused energy beam from her bond crystal. The crystal on her chest pulsed brighter with each attack. The connection between her and Eli was alive, strong, and burning like fire. But then a large raider ship appeared, twice the size of theirs. It launched a swarm of drones toward the surface. They're going for the core, Zariel said, panic in her voice. If they touch the core, Velmora will fall. Eli didn't think he'd just moved. He rerouted all remaining power to the main cannon. Zariel shouted, That will drain the shield. We don't need shields if they're gone. He replied, Together. They aimed the cannon and fired. A massive beam of green light shot out. Powered by their bond, it tore through the raider ship, slicing it in half. The drones scattered. Lost without command, the skies cleared slowly. Smoke and fire drifting in space like falling ash. Back on the surface, the Velmar watched in awe. Their people had never seen power like that, especially not from one of their own. Zariel and Eli landed beside the Grand Hall. The elders waited for them, but this time their faces were not cold. They were humbled. The lead elder stepped forward. You saved us, he said, voice softer now, with a bond we tried to destroy. Zariel nodded, still breathing hard. Because it's not a curse, she said. It's hope. The elder looked at Eli, then at her. You have earned your place among us, he said, and perhaps this human too. For the first time, Eli smiled in front of them without fear. The battle was over, but the bond had just begun to be understood. Velmora's skies had never been so quiet. The smoke from the space battle had cleared, and soft sunlight returned to the crystal cities. People walked out of their shelters, blinking up at the calm skies. Children pointed at the stars, where only moments ago, fire had rained down and in the heart of the city. Everyone whispered the same to names Ariel and Eli. Inside the Grand Hall, the atmosphere had completely changed. The once cold and strict elders now stood in silence. Humbled by what they had witnessed, they had seen the bond in action. They had seen a human and a Velmari fight as one, protect as one, and rise as one. Zariel's armor was cracked and darkened from the battle, but her green eyes still glowed strong. Eli stood beside her, his uniform torn and burned, but his back straight. The lead elder stepped forward again, no longer towering with pride, but standing with quiet respect. Today, the elder said, we saw power born not from control, but from trust. We saw strength, not in fear, but in unity. He looked directly at Zariel. You have shown us a path we never imagined. Zariel's voice was steady, but there was emotion in her words. This bond was never about power, she said. It was about choice. Eli didn't force this. And neither did I. It grew from kindness, from respect, from something real. The elder turned to Eli, who nodded slowly. I didn't come here to change your world. Eli said, but now that I've seen it, I believe it can grow. Even brighter, if humans and Velmari work together, imagine what we could build. A deep silence followed. Then the elder raised his hands. Then let this be the first day of a new future. He said, let the bond be recognized, not as a threat, but as a gift. Soft murmurs of agreement passed through the other elders. Zariel's shoulders relaxed for the first time in days. Eli looked at her and smiled. We did it. He whispered. She smiled back. No, we started it. Later that evening, a celebration filled the city. Light crystals floated through the sky like gentle stars. Music played in the streets, and both Velmar and human guests danced and shared stories. Zariel wore a long silver robe, her bond crystal now resting peacefully at her collarbone. Eli, finally cleaned up, wore a new suit made from Velmari cloth. Smooth and glowing faint blue, they walked through the crowd together, side by side. People of all ages came forward to thank them, to ask questions, and to simply stare in awe. A young Velmari girl asked, is it true that you felt each other's pain? Zariel bent down and nodded. Yes, little one, but we also felt each other's joy. At the top of the celebration tower, Zariel and Eli stood alone, looking out over the lights. So what now? Eli asked, voice soft. Now we teach. Zariel said, we help our people understand, so this bond doesn't stop with us. He leaned on the railing beside her. You think others will form this kind of connection too? Zariel nodded slowly. I believe many already have. They just don't know it yet. Eli laughed quietly. Imagine Earth and Velmora working together. Zariel smiled. Imagine peace. Powered by emotion, not fear, they sat down together, watching glowing ships fly in gentle patterns above the city. Zariel leaned her head on his shoulder. I never thanked you, she said. For what? Eli asked, for believing in me. He smiled. I think you did thank me by saving a planet. She turned to him, her voice almost a whisper. I came back because of you, Eli. I stayed because of what we became. And for the first time, Eli didn't feel like just an engineer or a soldier. He felt like he belonged. Not just with Zariel, but in this new world they were building together. Weeks later, an official alliance was announced. A joint council between humans and Velmari was formed. Zariel and Eli were made ambassadors, peacekeepers, and teachers of the bond. They traveled to different planets, shared their story, and helped others understand the meaning of connection. Some doubted them. Others feared the bond still. But many listened, many learned, and many followed. Because people could feel it when Zariel and Eli stood together. Something powerful, yet peaceful. Something ancient, yet new. Something true. One evening, far from any planet, their ship floated in silence, near a quiet star. Zariel sat in the pilot seat, watching the soft light ahead. Eli came in with 2 cups of warm tea. He handed her one and sat down beside her. She looked at him and smiled. No more running, she said. No more hiding. He agreed. Just us. She whispered, just us. He echoed, and out in the endless galaxy, where stars were born and empires fell, 2 hearts, 1 human, and 1 alien beat as one. Together, they lit the way for others to follow. A new future had begun, and it all started with 5 words. Come back when you're older.